We are live right now.
Hello, guys. How are you? It's nice to see you all here. We're again here with Jennifer Batten. It's an honor to be again with this tremendous musician and tremendous woman. Hi, Jennifer. It's so nice to have you here again.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to connect again.
This is a very special meeting. I guess we could wait a couple of minutes for people to connect, but we're going to talk about one of your major activities nowadays. That's the Guitar Symposium.
Yeah, Guitar Cloud Symposium. Cloud.
Okay, it's very cool. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I'm so excited because I got a confirmation today that Steve Vai will join us in December.
Wow.
It's like a smorgasbord for guitar lovers where we do 20-minute segments on different subjects. And there's going to be 5 instructors this time. We're adding Daniele Gottardo, who Steve Vai, it's his favorite new guitar player is Daniele. So he's going to join us. And we have 24 subjects that we do over a 4-day period. On the Friday night, we get together and have an orientation and meet the people that are coming in, the students, and see where they're at in their playing and what their goals are. And then Saturday and Sunday is all content. Each teacher has an hour with 3 subjects, and then there's a half-hour Q&A period that follows that. Saturday and Sunday is all content. Oh, what's the echo?
Yeah, it's like a feedback or something. Yeah.
So somebody must have another computer, another window open with this in it. That's usually
perhaps, yes, perhaps.
Okay. So, and then the Monday, we have a wrap party where it's a big celebration with a lot of sponsored giveaways. We give away guitars and amplifiers and T-shirts, and it's a hoot. And then the second hour is a special guest. So we had Scott Henderson in August,
wow.
And we had Andy Timmons last.
Wow.
And, I don't pressure people to play, but Andy felt more comfortable with a guitar on, so he played several things for us. Steve Vai is going to join us on December 14th. And then we're doing another thing that's really exciting. I started last Saturday called the Deep Dive. So that's a 1-day event that goes from 9 in the morning to 6 at night. And the next subject is going to be heroes. So Jude Gold, who he has a podcast for Guitar Player magazine called No Guitar Is Safe. He's going to do Van Halen. I'm going to do Jeff Beck. Gretchen Menn is going to do Jimmy Page. And our acoustic resident guitar player, Vicky Genfan, is going to do Joni Mitchell. So I'm real excited about that.
Wow. We have a couple of greetings here from Ana Luisa Aceves. He says, greetings. We were expecting your broadcasting from San Luis Potosí. Elsa Romero also says hi. So people are connecting. Tell us a little bit about the teachers. I saw Daniele Gottardo, Vicky Genfen, of course yourself, Gretchen Menn, and Angela Petrilli. Yeah. I saw all of them playing. They're impressive. All of them. Yeah. And so different from one another. Tell us a little bit about each one of them.
Well, Gretchen, I toured with her and Neely Brosh last year, and it's great because we all come from such different areas of music. She's really deep into classical music, but she's also toured for many years with a Zeppelin tribute band called Zepparella. So that's why she's going to be doing the Jimmy Page portion of the January deep dive. Yeah, she's the kind of person that will watch scores for fun, Paganini and Stravinsky, and
okay.
She's deep into that world. Daniele Gottardo is a phenomenal guitar player, just ridiculous chops, and he's going to be offering sweep picking and chordal tapping. That's his
Wow.
module's coming up. Let's see, Vicky Genfan. I've known her for many years. She is an acoustic guitar player, singer, songwriter, and she has a very unique technique that involves a lot of percussion on the guitar and a lot of tapped harmonics. So, and she's got, I think, 7 albums out. She's very prolific. And Angela Petrilli, Gretchen turned me on to her because Neely went off. You know, she was with us in August, and then she got hired to work with Danny Elfman,
Wow.
from the band Oingo Boingo, and does a lot of film scores. And they just put out his first singles in 10 years for Halloween called Happy. It's really weird. Yeah.
And how did you guys meet? Because all of you are one of a kind. So how did you put this together?
Well, I met Vicky years ago at a NAMM show. There's a record that's on Steve Vai's label that's called La Guitarra. That's all female players. And we did a concert at the NAMM show. And I heard Vicky there, and I thought she sounded so great. I forced her to become my friend. And Gretchen, you know, I had heard about Gretchen, and in fact, I was on the road when Zepparella was coming through town, so I sent my friends to go see the show. And I don't know, you know, we all run in the same circles, so whether it's at a NAMM show or somewhere in an airport, I tend to run into a lot of guitar players. In fact, I was in an airport when I was with Jeff Beck, and Steve Morse was at our gate going somewhere else.
Okay.
Usually happens.
And actually, Daniele, I met him because he's married to Gretchen.
Okay. Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Everything is family here. That's so cool. We have some more greetings from Wanda Lopez. Hi. And we have a special guest, Magali from Argentina. Hi, Magali.
Hello, guys. How are you? Nice to meet you, Jennifer. You're great.
¿Cómo está? Good to meet you.
Muy bien.
That's so wonderful. So we already have in the drum and bass page the mechanics of the contest.
Of the contest, yeah, that's right.
So this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to translate it a little bit afterwards, but there's going to be a contest to win a symposium, a complete set of classes that's going to take place from December the 11th through the 14th. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
So
seat belts.
That's going to be great. So you guys have to enter the contest and win. It's going to be cool. I mean, it's going to be there. Gretchen and Jennifer and Vicky, Angela, and all of them great musicians and great teachers. So the mechanics are as it follows. You have to go to the page and download. It's kind of a form. You fill it up, and then you take a video with your cell phone, playing 20 seconds of the piece you got there. And then you post it on Instagram and you tag them. And if you are the winner, well, lucky you, man. It's going to be really great.
Yeah, we've given away quite a few scholarships. We have a presenting sponsor is Positive Grid that makes the Spark amp and bias and all kinds of great stuff. And they did 3 scholarships for our last symposium. So you know, we do want some people to pay, but we do get scholarships.
It's gonna. I bet it's gonna be really cool, and there's gonna be a lot of people interested in this. And let me ask you something, Jennifer. When you teach, what's the most important thing for you to teach? I know you're very known for your skills and for the gigs you've been involved in. But for you, what's the most important thing when teaching?
Well, 2 of the modules that I do always are a little thing on brain science and the most efficient way to learn, because there's a lot of material coming at you in 18 hours. So it's easy to feel like you're overwhelmed. And also, I do a module in an app called Transcribe that allows you to slow down songs, loop little sections, change the EQ, karaoke mode where you can drop the singer or the lead instrument out. And then I've been rotating other ones. I get into tapping, intervallic playing, building speed. You know, it's going to morph over time. When I get bored with what I'm teaching, I'll teach something else.
But it's very interesting what you're saying here, because those are really, let's say, unusual themes, unusual subjects for a guitar player to teach. I mean, brain stuff and learning stuff. I think that's really cool.
Well, you know, you think of all the years we've all spent in school, and we get these assignments, learn this and come back tomorrow and take a test, but nobody ever says how to learn. And some people have real difficulty trying to retain information and trying to figure it out. So it's learning how to learn has changed the way that I learn music, and it's been very helpful.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, it's so cool. That it's so cool. For our friends, guitar players from all over, you gotta be there. I mean, this is gonna be interesting and impressive, and you're gonna have a lot of information there. We also have greetings from Cesar Martinez from Nuevo León. Hi, Cesar. From Kathy Aceves. Hello. Please join us and please ask something to Jennifer. She's here with us, and she's an amazing musician, a great teacher, and she's sharing with us the Guitar Symposium. It's going to be great. Guys, you want to ask something?
There's something very, very important that people have been asking since we published the information is about learn how to record your own music. And you guys going to teach that in the classes and the symposium. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we did that as a one-day event last Saturday. So I don't know when we're going to teach that again, but we all took different angles of recording albums. And between all four of us, we've recorded 16 albums. So we've got a lot of experience. And my module, the thing that was most interesting to me is how to make a melody come alive. And in the module, I took a lot of examples. I did examples from Charlie Parker to Jaco Pastorius to Van Halen. And then I would take, one of the focuses was on listening to singers and listening to the little nuances singers will do, from vibrato to sweeping into a note, sweeping out of a note. And so I translated that to guitar using the whammy pedal and the whammy bar. And my setup is improving every time. And so now I can hit a button and go to a 2-camera shot where you see me from the front and you can see a close-up of my hand on the whammy bar.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. I got to add another camera for my foot for next time. So,
awesome. Awesome.
But one of the songs that it was really hard to learn, and I'll probably be working on it for the rest of my life, is Aretha's cover of Rollin' in the Deep. And what she does to that song will give you chills. And so I tried to do my best at translating that to guitar. And so I'll break down every section and say, here are the decisions I made. I could have done this or this or this, but I chose to do this. So I think it's the best to show people by example so they can hear it right away rather than doing a PowerPoint and just reading words.
Yeah, sure.
You have to agree with me in this. This Guitar Symposium could be also for singers, also for bass players, also for piano players. What could you say about that? I mean, there's a lot of information there. It's very wide. So all types of musicians could be in there.
Yeah, you're right about that. I don't advertise to anybody but guitar players, but there certainly are subjects that any musician could learn from, for sure.
So please, from all over, singers and guitar players and bass players, even I don't know, even brass players, because there are melodic stuff going on there. So this is going to be really interesting. Guille, you wanted to ask something?
No, no, you already did it.
Okay, okay. So we're very glad to have you here, Jennifer, and this is going to be really cool. For how long have you been doing this?
I started August 7th, and I wanted to do the 4-day thing every month, but there's so much work behind the scenes between advertising and making videos. I would die.
Yeah, I know, it's a lot of work. Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I came up with the 1-day event. So every other month will just be a Saturday from 9 to 6, which is truly a marathon for people. And Vicky Genfan is also into body arts like yoga and qigong, and so halfway through the day she'll have you work out your body so you get blood back in your brain so you can learn more for the afternoon. So I think that's all I can handle. One event per month. It's going to be 4 days, and then 1 day, and then 4, and then 1 ongoing. And I'm excited also to tell you this week I've talked to a couple different players that are fantastic. Mark Lettieri from Snarky Puppy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to do a couple classes in February.
Awesome.
And also, there's a guitar player named David Walleman that has, God, he's got something like 250,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. He does lessons there, and he's got a website called guitarplayback.com. So he's been very helpful sending out to his enormous mailing list that he's been building over the last 10 years. And he's a really good teacher, so I'm going to have him teach also. So, you know, I've got this long wish list of guitar players I'd love to have. Dweezil will join us at some point as a guest, a Q&A.
Okay. Okay.
But just the fact that it's going to be our 4th event and Steve Vai is joining us, I'm over the moon.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I know. He's the guitar god for a lot of people during the 80s and 90s, of course. And what would be a goal, a person to have there that would be so interesting and so fulfilling to have there? I mean, of course, you have Steve Vai. You're going to have a lot of personalities, but one personal goal for you to have there?
As far as a person to join us?
A player, I mean, yeah.
A guitar player.
Oh, God, I'd love Jeff Beck, but he would never do it. He's very shy.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, Jeff Beck is also a god there.
Yeah.
And you're a goddess, so would be complete.
Okay, I got a question from somebody right here from Brazil. When you gonna invite Joe Satriani?
Well, you know what? I've met him many times, but I don't have contact information. So I'm going to go with the people that I personally know first. But I will certainly reach out to him at some point.
Okay.
Good.
Satriani is also a guitar god.
Sure.
And what about people like, for example, Steve Lukather, Yngwie Malmsteen?
Yeah, with Steve, he's got such a potty mouth. I got to make sure the students are old enough to handle it.
You know what? I once got an opportunity to play with him here in Mexico City.
Great.
The guy is a party. The guy is just great. He's a tremendous musician, and he's such a nice person.
Yeah, you know, I listened to the audiobook of his autobiography, and it's fantastic. Yeah, he was just an extreme talent when he was a teenager. That's why he ended up on so many people's records, just a natural talent. And he's crazy as hell, so that's a good combination.
And for instance, what about other styles? For example, you're going to have Steve Vai and Andy Timmons, and they're going to emerge jazz stuff. some jazz guitar. Well, we're going to have Snarky Puppy's guitar player. Some more like him. Who would you like to have?
Yeah, I really, at this point, I really don't want to get into straight ahead jazz because I don't think there's that much interest. I mean, around the globe.
Yeah.
And in my own head. Yeah. It's the most jazz I'll get is like Scott Henderson. I mean, he is a jazz player, but he does it in a rock way that I find really interesting and intriguing. So, man, I mean, there's acoustic players like Preston Reed that I really admire. I'd love to have him. In fact, I came this close to seeing him live. We were in the same festival and my guitar broke and I had to spend the day getting it repaired and I missed his show. So
wow.
That's a shame.
He lives in Scotland. So some of the players I would love to have, it's a little bit of a challenge for them time-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What do you think about freaks like John Gum, for instance?
Yeah, man, I'm open to anybody, and that just makes me think of Freak Kitchen. That what's his name? Matthias Eklund. And,
okay. Wow, yeah.
I know the guy.
An awesome guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's an alien. I know.
Yeah, I would love to keep adding people. You know, it's fun for me, and it keeps it exciting because I keep getting the same students that want to come back every month, and I can't be coming up with 6 new things to teach every month.
Okay. Now let me ask you something. A lot of people is very worried and they're very interesting about reading. Is there something about reading in the modules?
No, we haven't done that so far. I personally think it would be a really boring thing to teach. That's not to say it won't ever happen, because you know, if it's only 20 minutes, maybe it would be worthwhile to give somebody some tips. But most guitar players suck at reading, and I don't know how many of them really want to.
Okay. That's so interesting to know, because that's a reality. So guys, it's not going to be about reading at all. It's going to be about playing and about some very interesting and important information for you as a player and as a human being. That's so cool, Jennifer. I love it.
Jennifer, I got a question. For example, we're talking about all the people in the big names in the guitar world, but what do you think about all that same guitar players in Latin America? Because there's a lot of talented people here in Latin America.
Yeah, well, we are experimenting in December with Daniele, and he has a very thick Italian accent. So I need to, you know, I would love to have him, and we are going to have him. But in the survey afterwards, if people have a hard time understanding him, then that's a problem. So, you know, there's great players in all countries. So it really depends partly on their English, because it's, you know, most of the people we're getting right now anyway are American.
Yeah, sure.
I have a question from Spain right now, and it says that what kind of material they're gonna get from the symposium, or they need to get something from that?
Everybody gets a folder from every teacher that supports what they teach, and so there's a lot of PDFs. In this last one, actually, all of us, we did have PowerPoints. I mean, that sounds boring, like a teacher at a university. Here's a PowerPoint, but you know, whether it's pictures or notes, we gave it to everybody afterwards. You can turn it into a PDF so they can refer to that. We in the symposium we offer PDFs and graphs. For me, I think it's a pain in the ass to write things out, and so I put videos in my folders to, you know, just a close-up of the guitar neck so you can see exactly what's going on. And the one module that I teach on the Transcribe app, you can drag videos into that and slow it down if you want. So Everybody, you know, I'm not really strict, like it has to be this way and you have to teach this. I want it to be free so everybody is excited about what they do. And we're learning as we go, and as we have people fill out surveys, what people like and what they don't like and what they want more of. It was funny, you know, we give 24 modules on 24 different subjects. And one of the guys in the last one said, I wish you had more modules. and then somebody else said, I wish you had less modules and would go deeper into the subject. So, you know, you can't please everybody, but
I know. Jennifer, is there an age limit for acceptance?
No, I would say the youngest person we've had so far is 17, and he's a really great player. He's been playing for quite a while. The other people say that beginners can come in, but I don't think so. I mean, you will get something out of it as a beginner, but if you at least know the names of the strings and the notes on the board and basic chords, you're going to get a lot more out of it.
Okay, that's an important thing, because sometimes they want to get into the children's stuff or some other kinds of people. So it's good for people to know that. I mean, you have to know a little bit of guitar playing, the name of the chords and the basics. Okay, so it's important to know that. So good.
The same person that asked about the what you guys are gonna have, like the videos, what just was talking about, he asking that whenever they sign up, you guys gonna give them a link so they can download the information, the PDFs or the video, or how it's gonna work.
Yeah, we send out a link. Well, I say I do all the work. I send out 3 or 4 days before the seminar begins, so you can have a look through stuff before we even begin.
Okay.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, friends from all over, feel free to ask. We have Jennifer here live in drum and bass, so feel free to ask anything you want. She's here for us right now. Catalina is gonna ask something.
Thanks. I would like to know, what would you say to the young people, young musicians who are starting on this? Any advice for them?
Young musicians that are starting to play music?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really helpful to have a great teacher. There's so much information online, and not all of it is good. So to have a teacher actually watching your hands is super valuable, and especially when you're starting out, because you don't want to develop bad habits that you have to correct later on. And I also say, if you get a teacher and you're not digging it, keep looking. Find another teacher and another teacher until you find somebody that you really resonate with, that inspires you to do the work.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's cool.
That's a really good advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Ferjanes, he says that your contributions with Michael Jackson are incredible, and it is an honor to have you here in this transmissions. Thank you, Fernando. Yeah, he's a friend. I don't know. Yeah, that's the one.
Gracias.
I wanted to ask you, at some point, would you like to have, for example, the Giants playing with you in some of these symposium? For example, David Gilmour or something like that?
Oh, of course, I'd love it. I seriously doubt I could get somebody like that. You know, unless he's lonely and just wants to hang out with a guitar community.
Because it would be very interesting. Those guys are at the beginning of all of this, right?
Yeah, and those guys, you know, if they haven't recorded lessons already, some of the personalities do not make good teachers. They can be really great players, but they can't communicate.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of players will just go, I don't know what I do. I just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't charge for that.
Yeah, Robert Fripp, for instance, right?
Well, I think he's pretty left brain. In fact, he did used to give workshops, so he actually would be a good one. But I definitely don't have the money for somebody like that.
Yeah.
And I will say that I don't have the money for Steve Vai either, and he's doing it for free just because he's a good guy.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, Steve
nice.
Steve is a tremendous guy. Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with that. Any other question, friends?
I have a
I
question.
have another question.
I have a question too.
Well, Maggie.
Okay, I have a question for you. How do you think is the key to be a good teacher?
You kind of have to experiment. Sorry, my dog Elvis is joining the party.
Nice.
Good one.
Elvis, so cool.
I think to be a good teacher, you have to be sensitive to how your student is learning. Because if you're just saying something, you can kind of tell if it's going over their head and they're not getting it. And a lot of times you need to slow down what you're saying and break it into smaller chunks that they can understand. And sometimes they're just not going to get it that way. Sometimes they need to see it visually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the greatest gifts that you get from becoming a teacher is learning how to communicate.
Yeah.
Because, when if you're doing one-on-one lessons and you're sitting across from somebody and there's no progress being made, you need to reboot and figure out what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's interesting. Ivan, you were gonna ask something.
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
Sure. What was your best teaching experience or the most funny in your symposiums?
I think that would involve the champagne that happens on the wrap party night.
Oh man!
I mean, here's what. Okay, this is funny now, but it sucked back then. Okay, I booked the first symposium August 7, 8, 9, 10, and I forgot that I also had a gig the night on Saturday night.
Wow.
Oh,
And it was just overload. I was so stressed out. And honestly, I drove down like an hour to this winery to play the gig. And I started out with a song I've been playing for years, and I just sucked because I had no brain power left. It was, I mean, I got it together and put on a decent show, but I was not at top level. And also, I'm not doing shows. I did 4 shows this year. And so you can play all you want to the TV or in your studio, but it is night and day different from playing live. It's stage tops. Yeah. And so I was struggling a little bit. So I'll say that was funny, but not back then.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken flamenco lessons?
No, never.
Because now that we were talking about the teaching stuff, that is a very interesting way. It's one-to-one. The teacher plays, and then the student has to emulate that. So now that you were talking about teaching, that's a very interesting. I wanted to know if you have ever experienced. That would be cool.
Yeah, there are so many genres of music that I have not gotten into. That's one of the cool things about the symposium too, is that I get to see all the other teachers and what they're into. So it's it really opens up your brain and does with the other students as well, because people that are totally into shred and all of a sudden they're watching Vicky Genfan do this percussive stuff on acoustic. There's a couple people that got acoustic guitars. In fact, one girl won a Luna guitar from being in the symposium. So she got like twice her money's worth, or 3 times really.
Okay.
So it can fire people up. You never know what direction or what seed is planted that will send somebody in a new direction.
That's so true. What was the seed in your case? What was the first thing you saw or you heard that made you uh, devote your life to this?
The excitement of the Beatles coming to America. You know, they were on TV, and everybody in the world that had TV was talking about them, and every new record they came out with was super, super exciting. And plus, my dad, both my parents were into music, not professionally, but my dad, by the time he passed away, probably had 3,000 jazz LPs. So that was always playing. If he was home from work, that was the backdrop to me growing up, listening to everybody from Joe Pass to Jim Hall to you name it.
Yeah,
incredible. Yes, Guille, you were going to say something.
No, Rafa, I think he's going to say something.
Oh, well, I got like 4 questions from different places. I got a question from Bolivia. Oh, they know you in Bolivia. They hear it from in Bolivia. So this is that if there's a big problem if the person don't speak too much English, it's very if you speak very fast so they can understand it if they want to get the class. I mean, I don't know. That was the question.
You know, I mean, I've been thinking about this, that there has to be, well, I know there's apps, translation apps, and eventually that's something that I would love to offer so people could come from any country and, you know, understand it, even if they have to read a translation.
Yeah. That's sometimes it's a problem, the language.
Sure.
But, I mean, in this case, I understand that it's a guitar symposium. I mean, there's not a lot of time in the module, so I think it would be nice if you at least understood a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to be a waste of time, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's cool. What was your first guitar, Jennifer?
It was a little electric thing that my dad gave me. I don't even remember the brand, but I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because back then in, the early 60s, every kid would get an acoustic guitar for their first guitar, never electric. So I was blessed that I was destined for rock and roll from the jump.
Remember the brand and the model?
I don't. No.
Okay, that was so cool. Did you ever have interested for another instrument? For example, I heard Van Halen's story. He started with drums.
Yeah.
With you, something similar?
There was one point, Weather Report's my favorite band ever, and there was one point that I wanted to play soprano sax only to learn the exact same solos that Wayne Shorter was playing.
Oh, well.
I had no interest to go any further. I just wanted to play what he was playing, but I never did do that.
Okay. That's so cool. What kind of music do you like to listen when you are not working?
Yeah, I listen to a wide variety, and I like to listen to stuff that's very different from what I do. So I'll listen to acoustic players like Preston Reed or electronica that has no guitar at all in it. I love a lot of ethnic music. Peter Gabriel has a label called Real World. And I've got records by African thumb piano players. Wow. And you listen to a whole record of that, it just kind of takes you into this whole other universe that you'll never hear on the radio.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
That's a very important thing you said. You have to be wide open to possibilities. When you're a professional musician, you have to be aware of what's going on there and be willing to learn from some other cultures and sounds and stuff. Yes, Guille.
I was going to say it's very interesting that you really still involved in listening music, because I met some musicians that they're not interested in listening music anymore. They don't want to listen music anymore. I don't know why, because it's our job to pay attention and listen.
Well, you know what? It's kind of like It's kind of like drugs, where if you take drugs, you need more drugs. You know, like, well, certain drugs like opioids, people will start with one pill and then they need 50. Well, it's like, you know, I think with music, you know, if you've been playing for decades, you've heard so much music that it takes very specific music at a very specific level to get you excited. It's almost like, you know, if I listen to pop radio, 90% of it is boring as hell to me because it's so predictable. It's like, I know there's going to be an intro, verse, chorus, usually a super shitty solo, and then the
and that's what they're gonna learn in symposium. They're gonna do great.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the vibe, man.
Music,
Go for it.
The best of the best right there, because they're gonna have the best in that.
For example, for me as a drummer, when I get my ears stuck in work, or whether I'm mixing something or trying to learn a gig or something that refreshes my ears is classical music with no drums at all, or perhaps folk music, something really different from my stuff.
The only thing I can listen to when I'm trying to work and concentrate is very ambient, new age kind of music. Because as a musician, you tune into stuff, and it's extremely distracting.
Yes, I know. But, very few of us can do that. I mean, concentrate with music in the background, right?
I can do it. No, it's impossible for me.
Yes, you start analyzing and counting.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jennifer, Rafa Lopez has very fine and very great new age music of his own.
Okay.
He composes really good music.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the music is a pleasure.
Yeah, we're working in a new age, because I'm making a lot of new age music right now. I mean, I'm a guitar player, but doing a lot of music without guitars.
Yeah.
For a big reason, I don't play guitar for a little bit because my ears already, like you said, is like set up into something. So we working something with Luis and Ricardo Merlini together. So
nice.
As part of what they're gonna learn there in the symposium too, they're gonna learn how to set up something together, make music, and at the same time learn and understand more about different styles, since you're one style, Gretchen is another style, and all the other teachers are different styles. So there's something great that actually they're gonna have a different idea of music, not just rock, but pop music or funky music, stuff like that. So there's one of the questions I have right here for you too is if they're gonna learn some different techniques from you guys, how to play different kind of styles. I mean, how you guys do with effects or without effects, or how to learn how to use effects into the music, or play the music with no effects and make it cleaner. So one of the questions is like, how you guys going to teach that, and how they're going to be expecting to learn from you guys about that?
Well, I'll tell you, I did a thing on effects last Saturday, but I'm not going to do it in December. Daniele Gotardo is going to do a thing on sweep picking, another module on chordal tapping. Angela does slide guitar and hybrid picking. Gretchen, I'd have to look at the schedule, but she, the last couple times, did a thing on harp harmonics. So yeah, we do get into different techniques for sure. But you just need to go to guitarcloudsymposium.com and download the schedule, and it will show everything that everybody's going to teach and what time they're going to teach it. And there's also a video there, so you can get an idea of everybody's playing.
Eso es importante decirlo en español, queridos amigos que nos están viendo. Para todos los que están interesados en saber qué es lo que se va a dar en el simposio, nos está diciendo Jennifer que pueden ir a la página y ahí está lo que va a dar cada maestro especificado con hora y debidamente delimitado, porque ahorita preguntaban qué tipos de técnicas se iban a ver, y Jennifer dice que en efecto se van a ver muchas técnicas, que si los armónicos, que si las técnicas de tapping, los legatos, muchas cosas de interés para los guitarristas. Si quieres saber a detalle, ve a la página del simposio y ahí te vas a dar cuenta de qué es lo que se va a ver.
Do we have already the schedule? You sent it to me. They already have it too. We're gonna translate your schedule to Spanish. They're already working in a video to make it simple for Spanish speaking people. So
Okay.
they're gonna translate all the schedule and the information that you have, like the form and everything, so people can get more access to it and fill it up.
Okay.
Most of the people that are going to get into there, I know it's going to be people that already speak English and stuff like that. But there are some people that want to try to, at least, and they're not that good in English, but they still want to try it. So we're going to translate it just for one day. Probably you have an idea to do something for Spanish people only, and that will be great too.
Aquí abajo está la dirección.
So
Para
they
que
put
la
right now the
gente-
address down there, guitarcloudsymposium.com, so people can get to it. And they're gonna put all the links, even the Jennifer Batten link too. So if they don't get from one side, they're gonna get it from the other side too. So, yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna put it on my page too, so they can get for whatever they go straight to the symposium. But,
Jennifer, I wanted to ask you this since the very last time. I heard your records. I heard your music, and there are some really cool stuff going on there. How do you think? What's the way of thinking as a producer? I heard a lot of sounds, a lot of voices, a lot of things going on there in the background, besides the tremendous guitar playing.
Well, I've got 3 guitar records out, and they're very, very different from each other because there was years apart between them. The last one, whatever, it was mostly stuff I wrote for Jeff Beck when I was with him, and I witnessed how he worked in the studio, and it was really fascinating. This was over 20 years ago now, but they would have a drum programmer in one room coming up with the killer grooves, and they would send it across the hallway to Jeff and the producer, and Jeff would just react to it and just improvise. And the producer was good enough that he would hear chunks that he could cut together to make, okay, that's the verse. That's the, so I was really inspired by that. And I bought a Pro Tools system back when it was ridiculously expensive. And
I still do.
Yeah. I started experimenting the same way with vocal samples, and I got into guitar synthesizer when I joined Jeff because, you really need keyboard sounds behind him. So just getting into guitar synthesizer opens up an enormous palette of sounds that are very inspiring. Just one sound can be inspiring enough to write a new song.
Okay. Do you mix your stuff?
Hell no. No, I don't have the skill to do that. I worked on the stuff for years and got the pans exactly how I wanted it and the levels, but that's a whole other thing. I took it into a studio with a guy that's really an aficionado of analog gear, really expensive gear, and I just don't do that myself.
Okay. I wanted to ask you something else. Can you tell us a little bit the difference between a studio guitar player and a live guitar player? You've been very involved in both of them.
Yeah. Well, my first thought is a lot of studio players that don't play live are really not even aware there's an audience watching them, and they're boring as fuck.
Okay.
They're amazing players, but there's a whole other skill to acknowledging the audience and having interplay with the other players that are on the stage. And one gig I saw that really stood out in my mind because I was really into jazz in the 70s. And, you know, it's common for jazz people to look at their shoes. It's, you know, entertainment is not first on their mind. But I saw Lee Ritenour do a show. And he was so, I mean, he's a studio guy, but he was so animated and so engaged with the other people that all these years later, I remember that gig.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's a monster. Leader to now is a monster.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I love him. Your favorite guitar player, studio-wise?
You know, Danny Korchmar is one that comes to mind. He played with Don Henley. And
Ooh.
it's not about chops. It's about tone and having exactly the appropriate thing for the song. I mean,
Is he the redhead?
Gosh, I haven't seen his face for quite a while. I don't remember.
Is he British?
No.
Okay. Okay. Tremendous musicians, the ones that play with Don.
And of course, Steve Lukather. I mean, he's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, yeah. Steve is a monster for studio and live situation. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
How do you think about gear for studio and for live?
I use the same stuff.
Same stuff. Okay.
Yep. I want my gear to be my gear. I've been using the Blue Guitar Amp 1 for about 5 years. Ever since he invented it, I was the first customer. And I've also got a Blue Guitar Blue Box, which is a 16 IR cab emulator. And it has another knob on it that's a virtual mic placement knob. So ever since I got that, I've been using that. Sometimes I'll use an Audix i5 mic on a Blue Guitar cabinet and combine the frequencies of those. But my setup is very simple.
Okay, what about guitar picks? What do you use? You like soft ones, hard ones?
You know, I got into a company called Gravity not long ago. And I really like these picks. They're like plexiglass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And because of the material they're made out of, they're never going to fall out of your hands. It just gives you a superior grip to anything else I've used.
That's a dream come true, right?
Yeah, big time.
Because you always lose picks in a live situation.
Yeah, and these bastards are not cheap. They're almost $5 a piece.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
After a show, if people ask me for a pick, I have a whole other stash in my pocket.
Okay. Okay. What about strings?
I've been using Deodario for, I don't know, 5, 6, I lose track of time, 45 years.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. Which, ¿cómo dices, Rafa, cómo dices calibre?
Calibrated.
Which number?
Oh, yeah. Well, I tell you what, I started having some trouble with my knuckles, and so I've gone to a very, very light gauge from 8 down to 42. It's a hybrid of super, super slinky down to the average bass. And I've found, of course, it's harder to keep it in tune, but I find that I can do a lot of micro movements, and my vibrato has changed because it's so much easier to do. So
okay. For
nice.
the MJ's tours, what did you use back then?
For MJ, it was I think regular slinky 9 to 42, and then when I started playing with Jeff, I was triggering so much guitar synthesizer that I went to like 10 down to 50, because the more stable the string is, the better chance you have of the translation to digital of not grabbing the wrong note.
Wow.
And so I used very heavy strings when I was with him. And then I started having trouble with my hands. And so I gradually went to lighter strings.
That's
Interesting. Nice. Rafa, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, a question about talking about that. Now that you were talking about the picks and the equipment you use, one of the persons that sent him a question says he was reading right there about the sponsors, and that you did some giveaways last time.
Yeah.
And they said if they gonna still do that, the sponsors, or
Yes.
you're gonna do like a giveaways or something.
Yeah, actually, that's a call I need to make this week to see who's in for the next one. But for sure, they're going to give away a Positive Grid Spark amp. And I'm not 100% sure about the Luna guitar. In fact, I need to email somebody tonight. And let's see. Audix is always giving something away. They did really good headphones and a cab grabber and an i5 mic last time. So yeah, I need another few days to be able to announce that.
Okay.
Jennifer,
Another question is, yeah.
One of the things is Sweetwater.com is giving away a $100 gift certificate, and they gave me, my living room is full of T-shirts.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can give away some T-shirts though.
Yes.
Yeah. Another question about that is, by the time you got, I mean, the lap of the time that you have in the classes and all that, did they have breaks?
That's funny, because the first symposium, I didn't give anybody a break. I said, put your seatbelt on, we're going.
Yeah, that was a weird question.
Well, in the survey, somebody said we really would like a break. So yes, between teachers, there's a 5-minute break. Then there's a half-hour break midday for lunch, and then Vicky does her body break yoga thing. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
That's nice. I got another question, Jennifer, for you. What do you think about the difference between playing with real hardware? I mean, your cabinets, your amps, or playing with a simulated thing via your computer, or what do you think about that? It's for me, it's very interesting, all the technology thing, but you like a real guitar player. What do you think? What's the feeling?
Well,
about that?
I can only refer to the system that I'm using, and the amp one is analog. It has a sub-miniature tube in it, so I'm getting that real drive. And then I'm going to the IR speaker cabinet that's built by the same guy. So, you know, of all the cabinets I choose, I think he's got 3 different years of Marshalls, and I think I use a 1964 cab. And I've been very happy with it. It's super clean and super saturated. I'm able to do what I need to do with it.
Okay.
I got a really interesting question right here from Mexico, from Yucatan, Mexico, and they said that they want to learn how to do solos, and you were talking about crappy solos, and he does a lot of crappy solos, and he wants to learn how to do an interesting solo. So he said if he's going to learn something like that in the symposium to learn how to do solos.
Well, it's not something you can learn overnight, but I think the key is studying players that you love, figuring out what they do, learning their licks, and also learning harmony and theory. Find out why those players are choosing those notes. So if you divide your studies between the two things, you can only get better. It's not going to be instant.
Yeah, that's for sure. I have this question is a pain in the ass for all guitar players. I saw you a lot of times with MJ and huge stadiums and venues. What about in-ears?
Yeah, that's a tough one. They've come a long way. I think I got my first in-ear. You're talking about in-ear monitors?
Yes, I wanted to know, how do you feel about that? Because most of the time guitar players hate that. Hate headphones and stuff. Which ones do you use? And what about your mix? Did you work on it or with the monitor engineer, or how is it?
Well, it depends on the situation. Some of the gigs don't have that. You're just kind of on your own, especially if you're sitting in. You're never going to get a mix. But I have, there's a company called Sensophonics, and they have a model. Actually, it's the price has come way down since when I bought it, but they have a model called 3D ambient, and you have 2 or 3 drivers in your ear plus a microphone, so you can choose how much ambient sound that you get, and you know, it's probably the best combination out there, but it still sucks. I do not like. You know, I started this cover band in town last summer so I could travel less, and everybody's on in-ears, and all I can say is I suffer. I've never had a gig with them that I feel like I'm doing my best. It just doesn't sound right. And I've tried everything. I've tried adding an ambient microphone that's a little bit away from the cab, and tried adding different mixers in the, oh God, it's just a nightmare, and I'm not satisfied. So I can't give you a good answer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And what about, yeah.
The alternative is losing your hearing from the volume.
Yeah, exactly. That was what I was going to ask. How's your hearing? Because you use a lot of what just really loud, and how do you manage that?
I lose my hearing. I'm losing a lot of frequencies, especially 3 years with Jeff Beck. There are frequencies that I'll never hear again.
Wow.
So, yeah. And that's not the kind of music that you can play quietly.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to ask you something about that. When you rehearse, for example, for a live situation for Jeff Beck, for instance, do you rehearse at the same volume you're going to be in?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Because I know it's important for you guys, guitar players, to hear the little nuances of the drive or the chorus or stuff that you lose when you load the volume, right?
Yeah, and also when you have 2 guitar players that are playing at the same frequency, that's, you know, it's just not ideal. And thankfully, most of what I did was triggering keyboard sounds. So I was, you know, providing air and support rather than, you know, butting heads with
fighting frequencies. Yeah.
You have played with a lot of tremendous guitar players. Who's the loudest one?
Uli John Roth.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. He's got a guitar that has a special custom boost on it that I think goes up 60 dB. 60.
Oh man!
Wow.
It's so ridiculous. And we played in clubs that would hold, I don't know, maybe 200 to 500 people. And I would look out at the audience and wonder why people were still standing there. It was just horrendous volume. I mean, wonderful playing and wonderful tone, but he's super old school where he would turn it on 11 and just beat the
Spinal Tap,
people.
Right?
What?
Spinal Tap. Remember that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Goes to 11. Oh man, that's a. Are you gonna? Are any of you gonna cover that topic? I mean, noise health.
You know, I talk about that kind of stuff in the Q&A periods.
Okay.
If it comes up, but I don't have a specific module on that just yet.
Okay, very cool. Any other question, guys? Yes, Ivan.
This is a personal question. I'm bassist. What do you expect from a bassist player when it comes to playing?
Number one, I expect people to do their homework.
That's so important. Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at this, the URL you have at the bottom. I don't think there's an S. I think it's just HTTP. But if you just put Guitar Cloud Symposium, that should take you to the spot.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, a lot of musicians are just lazy, and I don't want anybody showing up at a rehearsal that expects to learn a song at rehearsal. You should have it down, and rehearsal is just to find out if there's mistakes and work out intros and endings. Otherwise, it's wasting people's time. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about teaching the Transcribe app is because I've played with so many people that don't hear stuff correctly. They think they have it and they play it, and then there's a clash, and I go, no, man, that is not it. So let's break it down, take that 4 bars, play it at half speed, EQ it so you can actually hear the guitar, and you'll hear you're way the hell off. So, yeah, I mean, I've played with people at all levels. Like if it's a weak player, I'll, you know, give them a pass and try to teach them. But I played with some really good top line players that don't play it right either. So that's tough. I mean, your ear can really play tricks on you when you think you have something. And if you're playing along with a track in the studio and your volume is slightly above the track, then you're masking what the actual track is doing, and you think you're playing it right. Yeah. So one thing I think is important is to listen to it with headphones, listen to it with studio monitors, and be just below where it is so you can hear where there's clashes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so important. Who's the toughest boss for you?
I've been really lucky. I mean, I've heard nightmares of people like Elton John could be a real bastard, you know?
Yeah, really? Yeah. Well, but you do your homework. That's why.
Well, yeah, I do my best, and people know that I'm not going to come in slacking. I don't have an answer for you. I've never had anybody that's really kicked my ass. Maybe that's why I work so hard, is I live in fear of having my ass kicked.
So cool to hear that, because all of us have nightmares with bosses and stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's so cool. Any other question, guys? Yes. I'll
tell you one nightmare. I played with Steven Seagal, the martial artist guy.
Okay.
We had a gig in Jamaica. We had a couple of shows, and the demos sounded great. I thought his voice sounded great. The songs were great. And then I get to rehearsal, and I don't think he's the one on the audio. he had this thing where he thought when you solo, that's the time he should solo on top of you. It's like,
really?
You know, like Dixieland, where they'll solo at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was so annoying. And when I'd start to solo, I just would not make eye contact. Like, don't you dare step on my shit.
I have heard of really good guys about that. For example, Bruce Willis. He has a blues band, and he's pretty cool. And this guy also, a great actor, Jeff Bridges. He also sings and plays guitar.
Oh, man. That would be the ultimate. I mean, he plays cowboy music, but just to be in the room with him would be awesome.
Yeah, I know. So we have very good examples of that. Yeah. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not trying to say all actors are shit.
No. I never meant that either. No. Just joking with them. Yeah. Okay. Who else has a question?
Question right here. Before everything, I have. They said that if they can record the classes.
No. See, here's the thing. We did have meetings about this, and at first I thought, well, why don't we offer it at least for sale for people that can't make it afterwards? And the consensus was that there's so many DVDs out there. There's so many courses. We want to make this special where it's live. You need to be there. You need to focus when we're doing it. And we provide PDFs and videos and stuff afterwards. But we don't want the class going out. Plus, Zoom does not look great. You know,
I agree.
Yeah. And it, I mean, I was actually surprised. Somebody in the last symposium had the audio going through his home stereo system, and he said it sounded really great, and it surprised me. So, you know,
I have it in my studio monitors right now, and it sounds great.
Well, I'm not playing, dude.
Oh. Well, are you giving the class with an amplifier, or you go straight to the interface.
Yeah, you have to go direct. It's just not going to sound good without going direct.
Mm.
In fact, we did this was horrifying with Neely Bross. She had some stuff going on before the first symposium, and she couldn't make our first sound check. And I think it was the day before the symposium, she jumps in for a sound check and she didn't have an interface, and she was just going from the speaker across the room, and it was just awful. Just, I mean, she's got a really great tone when she records. And I go, girl, you got, dial back up when you're through an interface, because this is not going to work. Zoom has upgraded in the last month where, supposedly you can choose stereo and high fidelity. And I know the high fidelity has kicked it up a notch, but the stereo is bullshit. They say stereo, but it is not stereo.
Yeah, I know. Amigos guitarristas de todas partes de Latinoamérica, estamos aquí con Jennifer Batten y aquí tienen ustedes abajo la dirección guitarcloudsymposium.com. Entonces ustedes pueden ganarse una beca, ahí van a encontrar las bases para poderse ganar la beca, y pues bueno, vean nada más qué calidad de maestros, maestras, 5 enormes guitarristas y además invitados súper especiales como Steve Vai, como Andy Timmons. Es un agasajo esto, y es una especie de masterclass que dura 3 días. Entonces no te pierdas la oportunidad, inscríbete luego, es por concurso, entonces también te van a dar la oportunidad pues de exhibir tus habilidades y de compartir lo que sabes, ¿no? Para poder entrar a este simposio tan importante. I just was giving some directions for the symposium, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks.
Who else?
Who else? I got to go feed my cat.
Okay. Okay, Jennifer, thank you very much for talk about the symposium and all the classes and material. I think everybody got already an idea how that's going to work. So, well, you're going to be expecting a lot of people from Mexico and some other Latin American places.
I hope so. And I love it when it's international. There was one guy from Cuba. I really wanted him to get in. I told him that he won a scholarship, but he couldn't get to internet, so it never happened. But as long as you got decent internet, then yeah, please join us.
Well, the thing with Cuba is because they're using BLP kind of internet, because they got prohibited to use internet in Cuba. They cannot use internet. Because I was talking with Horacio Hernandez last time, and he told me he's paying extras so he can get internet free for the government.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy.
Is that not free already?
Well,
that's not for free already.
Not in Cuba. Cuba's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but
it's like China.
So you're gonna expect a lot of people coming from Latin America to the symposium page, and well, we're gonna try to translate as much as possible for the people who are gonna be asking for it. And well, next time it's gonna be December the 11th. So before that, we're gonna talk about it so people can get to it faster and get a place. There's a number of how many people you can get into the class. So probably some people can try to get there, but there's no more spaces available. Or do you have a limit?
Well, I think 100 would be too many, and we haven't come close to reaching that yet. So at this point, since it's a very young company, I don't think there's going to be a problem with people getting in.
Okay.
But I will also say that you can save $50 if you sign up before December 6th, and then it's going to go up to full price.
Okay, eso es importante, amigos de habla hispana. Si te inscribes antes del 6 de diciembre, tienes un descuento considerable. Entonces, ponte las pilas y luego llena tu formulario, manda tu solo y sé parte de este simposio que es fenomenal, la verdad, fenomenal compartir experiencias y hablar con un gigante de la música como es Jennifer y como son las compañeras maestras también. No te lo puedes perder, así de fácil.
All right, thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, thanks for having me. Adios, muchachos and muchachas.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Jennifer. Really nice to meet you.
Ok, muchachos, ahora sí vamos a hablarle en español.
Ajá.
¿En mexicano o en chileno o en argentino? Tú escoge.
Mexicano, güey.
Mira, que cada quien lo
Mexicano,
interprete,
güey, dice.
que
Tiene
cada
buen
quien
maestro.
interprete en su país para que le entiendan, ¿no?
Sí.
Porque si nosotros hablamos en diferente, pues significa diferentes cosas para ellos.
Chaparrita, claro.
Como chaparrita y
Acá
otras
representando las
cosas.
chaparritas.
Exacto, exacto.
Y como en
Decía Charlie García que cuando él escribía y no se le venían bien las ideas a la cabeza de cómo escribir todo el torbellino de cosas que traía en la cabeza, decía él que había inventado un idioma que se llamaba el guareschol, que era una mezcla de inglés, español y francés para hacer sus letras. Entonces podemos hablar en guareschol si gustan.
Está
¿No?
bueno.
Ok.
No la tenía, mira.
Oye, están pidiendo un en vivo con Parasite.
Oh, ya,
Para los
cierto.
que no saben quién es Parasite, es una banda increíble de Guadalajara, en donde participa
Por
un
cierto, aquí
hermano
la traigo.
mío, mira, ahí está la playera, mi querido Cristian Gómez, un baterista fenomenal. Es una banda
Muy
increíble
cabrones,
de
güey.
Guadalajara, y bueno,
Qué
pues
buena
ahí
música.
sabe por la sugerencia y la demanda, así que ahí tú sabes.
Claro que sí, pues estaría chido invitarlos. Ahí, decirle a Cristian y al Macarian. Ese vato
Nuevamente,
toca muy cañón.
chicos, Beto e Iván, que todo este rollito que se está haciendo, por ejemplo, ahorita con Jennifer y con la gente que ya ha estado, gracias también a Rafa, la vez anterior que estuvimos con Katy, ahora que está aquí Magal y todo, eh, pongan a trabajar un poquito la ardilla para ver qué más, hasta dónde más podemos llevar esta ondita de la fundación, porque creo que se está construyendo algo muy importante. Entonces,
Una
sí.
cosa que ya habíamos hablado, querido Guille, y que supongo que debemos de regresar, o sea, ya se había quedado en el tintero y lo habíamos discutido con Rafa desde desde el primer live con Jennifer, de juntar, por ejemplo, un live con Jennifer, pero meter a bajistas, meter a bateristas, no necesariamente a guitarristas, para que se enriquezca la plática, ¿no? Por ejemplo, nosotros como bateristas tenemos otro rollo en la cabeza completamente diferente. O sea, a lo mejor podría ser bajistas con compositores, con ingenieros de audio, ¿viste? Con maestros, gente que se dedica a la docencia, o sea, yo creo que sería muy interesante y muy novedoso, porque de pronto te salen con cada pregunta que dices, ah, caray, esa no me la esperaba, ¿no?
El rollito de la ingeniería de audio y de la cuestión de grabación también es muy interesante. Y justo lo que le preguntaban a Rafa, que si iban a dar también algunos tips de cómo grabar o de todo ese rollo en el simposium. Obviamente, bueno, ya todos de alguna manera estamos relacionados o estamos empapados un poquito con la onda de la grabación, ya sea por gusto o por necesidad o porque nos lo encontramos ya en el día a día de nuestras chambas, ¿no? Pero creo que sí también estaría muy interesante que se pudiera abordar un live con alguien que sea como bien especialista en esa onda y poderlo integrar, así como tú dices, con guitarristas, con bajistas, con cantantes, porque luego me ha tocado también ver que los cantantes ahorita a raíz de la cuestión de la pandemia, muchos se quedaron así de, chin, ¿qué voy a hacer? No sé grabar, no sé conectar un micrófono a una interfase, no sé configurar una interfase y quiero grabar videos o quiero ponerme así como bien a tono con lo que pasó durante el encerrón, ¿no? Que todo el mundo estaba sacando sus videos desde casa y etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, pues todo ese tipo de situaciones creo que pueden nutrir bastante esta ondita. Más que nada también, bueno, lo refiero a ellos para tratar de sacarle todo el jugo a la página de lo que es Drum and Bass, ¿no?
Es
Porque
correcto.
como que se quedó ahí muy abandonado el rollo. Entonces,
claro, sí, como definir un poquito. Drum and Bass es pro arte, pro música.
Ajá,
Nuestro,
exacto.
es una asociación civil sin fines de lucro completamente. Esto no se cobra para nadie. Es
Exacto.
ayudar al arte musical a hacer, ¿no? A que tenga
Exacto.
difusión, a que tenga más gente. Yo, por ejemplo, aquí he conocido a gente increíble como Cata, ahora Magali, a mi querido Rafa, a mucha gente muy importante del medio, y la verdad es que siempre es un lujo y un placer hacer este tipo de cosas. Entonces,
Claro.
la gente que nos está viendo, acérquense por favor a Drum and Bass. Dice Roberta Quinn, también sería importante traducir los vivos en inglés al español para que tenga más alcance. Sí lo hacemos, pero siempre es posterior. No se hace al momento porque se llevaría muchísimo tiempo. Sin embargo, algunas cosas importantes sí las traducimos en el momento para que queden bien claras. Ivancito.
Quiero comentar, ¿verdad? La fundación no solo se limita a la cuestión musical, estamos más concentrados en esta área porque somos músicos, ¿no? O sea,
Claro.
tanto Alberto como un servidor somos músicos, ustedes también, pero Drum and Bass no se cierra a solo la música, ¿verdad? Todas las artes y toda expresión humana, ciencia, deporte y tecnología, pueden tener aquí su espacio, tanto como la música. También quiero señalar que hoy, por estas fechas, cumplimos un año más de haber realizado el primer festival de baterías aquí en San Luis Potosí, en el año 2016, que fue un evento muy, muy importante para la fundación en aquel momento y que se recuerda con mucho gusto. Quiero nombrar a los bateristas que estuvieron ahí presentes en esa ocasión. Mi estimado Guille, que está aquí en la conversación. Luisito, que también iba a participar, pero se le juntaron ahí las chambas.
Se me cruzaron los cables, mano.
Sí.
Chambas, trabajos.
No. Cristian Gómez, Alex Gómez, Luis Campos, que también ha estado aquí en las charlas.
El Chox, claro.
Sí, el Choxito. ¿Cómo se llama? Se me fue su nombre, es que ha de ser bien codo. Tony Saldívar. Tony Saldívar, saludos, Tony. Si me estás viendo, saludos, Memo Peña.
Memo Peña,
obviamente, Beto Viveros, ¿verdad?
Pues ya lo saben, entonces pueden contribuir con nosotros para que esto se haga más grande, hagan sugerencias, qué les gustaría tener en un live. Tenemos gente de todo el mundo. Estaría bueno también en algún momento tener la apreciación, por ejemplo, de Cata, hacer un live sobre cómo es la música allá en Chile, con Magali, cómo está la situación en Argentina, o el lugar donde sea que vivas, ¿no? ¿Qué pasa con el folclore? ¿Qué pasa con el gremio de los músicos? ¿Qué pasa con las oportunidades ahorita en el encerrón? Y pues bueno, todos estamos en el mismo barco finalmente, ¿no?
Exacto. Sí, y todo muy importante es porque cada uno de ellos es como todos los que estamos aquí somos, bueno, me siento más a gusto ahorita que ya no son puros bateristas, está un bajista.
Ya hay músicos, ya hay músicos.
Y yo soy guitarrista. Y mira, y está Magali, otra baterista, y Cata, otra baterista, entonces
No tenemos la culpa de llevarnos bien.
Como la otra vez que estábamos hablando con Horacio Hernández, y me decían a mí que yo era el intruso. Porque eran todos bateristas y yo era el intruso. Exacto. Ya no me siento tan intruso.
Es que mira, yo te voy a decir una cosa, los bateristas somos un amor, papá, ¿qué te digo? O sea,
algunos,
¿qué más te puedo decir?
Bueno, la gran mayoría.
Mira, debo de reconocer que no.
Entonces, bueno, esto no solamente, es decir, fue creado y fue conceptualizado en México por mexicanos, pero esto es del mundo entero.
Exacto.
Entonces, siéntete libre de pedir lo que quisieras ver, lo que se te antojaría ver aquí en Drum and Bass, y pues veremos la manera ahí de entre todos darte gusto y de que sea una cosa bonita y bien hecha como siempre, ¿no?
De alguna manera, también ya para la gente que todavía tenemos algo de gente conectada, no solamente ahorita ya vamos a estar interactuando a través de Drum and Bass, sino que también ya es como una especie de fusión de empresas, por así decirlo, entre Drum and Bass y Ralo Productions, que Ralo es aquí de mi querido Rafa. Entonces igual, ya sea a través de Drum and Bass, de la fundación, o que sea a través de Ralo Productions, es donde van a poder estar viendo todo este tipo de contenidos. Y pues sí, ahorita la gente que está conectada, sí nos gustaría saber, ya sea que nos comenten ahorita o que nos manden un mensaje en privado de qué es lo que más les gustaría o qué les inquieta más para saber de todo lo que involucra ahorita ya en el arte, que como vuelvo a repetir, ya no solamente es el tocar, el estar interactuando con otros músicos, sino ya ahorita se está convirtiendo en algo que tiene que ir más allá con la ingeniería de audio, con la grabación, incluso con la cuestión del video, que también es muy importante porque todo el mundo ha estado ya haciendo este tipo de lives, haciendo sus videos para Instagram, como lo que se está proponiendo ahorita para el Guitar Symposium, que es increíble que ahorita a estas alturas del partido hay mucha gente que no sabe cómo hacer una dinámica de ese tipo. Cómo grabarse en un video de 20 segundos con un backing track y pues de alguna manera si nosotros podemos contribuir para despejar todas esas dudas, pues también lo podemos hacer. Ya nada más es cuestión de que la gente pues mande mensaje o comenten o cualquier cosa o que tagueen ya sea a Ralo Productions y a la Fundación Drum and Bass, etcétera, etcétera. No sé ustedes qué opinen.
Así es.
Lo que deberíamos de hacer es quizá, no sé, antes de que esté el evento, para que haya tiempo para la gente que lo haga, es hacer un pequeño vivo y enseñar cómo hacerlo, pero si quieren hacerlo, pero no entienden cómo o no saben cómo usar su computadora para hacer un backtrack y grabar algo. La próxima semana, en algún momento que tengan tiempo.
O les propongo algo más. ¿Por qué no mandamos toda la fregada y hacemos uno de puros bateristas, que es más interesante?
Así nos divertimos más.
Pues es un gusto siempre estar con ustedes, querido Guille, querido Ivancito, querido Rafa, querido Beto, Cata, Magali, bienvenida. Somos una verdadera familia aquí, entonces ya se habrán dado cuenta que aquí, no importa qué español hables, aquí eres bienvenido.
Todos terminan hablando mexicano, ¿no?
Exacto. Entonces, es un placer y pues bueno, ya habrá información sobre cuál es lo siguiente. Tenemos ahí, junto con Ralo Productions y con Drum and Bass, tenemos intenciones de traer a gente muy picuda, así que quédate en sintonía porque esto se va a poner increíble. Guille, tus últimas palabras, amigo.
Pues nada, agradecerle a Rafa, primeramente, por estarnos conectando con toda esta gente, que si de alguna manera no ha sido por él también, pues no hubiéramos conocido también a Magali, a Katy, a Jennifer y además gente con la cual él nos ha estado tratando de conectar y que ahorita se está generando este networking muy interesante entre todos estos músicos de habla hispana principalmente y pues agradecerle a Beto y a Iván por el espacio de la fundación, que también es muy importante. Yo creo que si no es por el espacio de la fundación también esto no lo pudiéramos llevar a cabo, entonces creo que el agradecimiento va para ellos principalmente, y mi querido Luis, pues también siempre rifándote como moderador de las charlas.
Óyeme, soy el Raúl Velasco de los bateristas.
Sí, me acuerdo que te dijo muchacho Cepeda, ¿cómo se llama? Daniel Cepeda.
Raúl Velasco. Exacto. Ivancito, la despedida.
A nombre de la fundación quiero agradecer, muchachos, muchas gracias por el apoyo que nos brindan. Raúl, perdón, Rafa, corrígeme, muchachos, por el amor de Dios. Me están cruzando los cables y no hacen nada.
A ver, ¿qué estás tomando? A ver.
Ahorita nada, es lo malo. Rafa, muchas gracias por todo esto, de verdad. Estamos inmensamente agradecidos por el apoyo, a Jennifer de igual manera. Muchachas, muchas gracias por estar aquí, por estar apoyándonos, por compartir también de su tiempo, y como lo dijo Luis, esperamos que más adelante podamos interactuar más con sus conocimientos, con su perspectiva, con sus realidades, ¿verdad? Sobre todo.
Es más, yo te lo voy a poner así de sencillo. ¿Por qué no de una vez ahorita las comprometemos a hacer un live de bateristas mujeres?
En el vivo de ahora.
De puras bateristas mujeres, ¿cómo ves? Tenemos, acá en México tenemos también grandes mujeres
tenemos
bateristas, entonces hay de dónde cortar. Entonces, si Cata y Magali aceptan, pues vamos ya organizando uno, estará súper interesante.
Suena bien, ¿eh? Suena muy bien.
Acepto.
Sí.
Perfecto, Magali.
Normalmente hay un live que hacen ellas en donde entrevistan 3 mujeres bateristas a un baterista externo, pero sería bueno hacerlo para drum and bass. El drummer's talk, en vez de que sea drummer's talk de otro lugar, podemos hacerlo aquí en drum and bass y hacer una dinámica en donde sean puras mujeres tratando de atacar a un baterista hombre a ver qué se siente.
Dime qué día va a ser porque yo no puedo. Dime qué día va a ser porque yo no puedo. Ok, Beto querido, la despedida.
No, pues muchas gracias por estar con nosotros, apoyarnos en esto que estamos haciendo y más que nada un gusto compartir con ustedes, que en realidad pues yo lo siento parte de mi familia y qué bueno que estamos haciendo cosas buenas, ¿no? Y que esto siga creciendo y siempre es un gusto estar con mi hermano Guille, con mi hermano Iván, gracias, con mi querido Luis Huerta, con Magali, con Rafiña, con el buen Rafiña, que nos echa mucho la mano.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Sí, güey, a todos se los tengo que cambiar.
Rafita querido, la despedida.
Nada, simplemente gracias por estar, los que estuvieron viendo el en vivo, los que no lo vieron pero lo escucharon. También gracias a los que compartieron, gracias a todos los músicos que están aquí, que son de gran nivel. Gracias por estar aquí. Y vamos a estar haciendo algo más seguido, algo como romper un poquito la barrera y tratar de que haya más apreciación de la música, que entiendan un poquito más y ser parte de eso nosotros. Vamos a tratar de hacer lo que la gente quiera. Si quieren en vivo con alguien en específico y estén al alcance de hacerlo, o que lo conozcamos y que no sea tan diva para decir que sí, entonces pues lo tendremos. Y nada más, esperemos a la siguiente.
Perfecto.
Iba a haber sorpresas por ahí.
Exacto, van a haber sorpresitas, ya verán, ya verán.
Ok.
Magali, querida,
por ahí.
La despedida.
Bueno, para mí es un placer estar acá, ¿qué voy a decir? Buenísimo. Está genial esto que gracias a Rafa que posibilitó este encuentro y que espero, obviamente, como dicen todos, se van a venir muchos más. Así que, bueno, estoy preparada para eso y está buenísimo. La verdad que yo siento que aprendemos todos. Eso es lo bueno, la unión, estar todos juntos, conocernos, hablar de música y de todo un poco y eso es lo que enriquece también a todos. Y desde el humano también, ¿no?
Exacto. Muchas gracias Magali. Cata.
Muchas gracias.
Agradecerle a ustedes por el espacio, por la buena onda, porque lo paso bien. Creo que eso es lo más importante, que lo pasemos bien. Y nada, o sea, que se siga dando estos espacios. Espero que se siga haciendo y agradecer a toda la gente que ha participado, que ha mandado saludos, que están ahí presentes, mirándonos, como conversamos.
Exacto,
como aprendemos nuestros distintos idiomas de castellano.
Exactamente. Un placer estar con todos y cada uno de ustedes. Esto es Drum and Bass para el mundo entero y pues bueno, nos vemos a la próxima. Estén pendientes porque vienen sorpresitas muy, muy chic. Cuídense todos.
Exacto.
Hasta luego.
Saludos.
See you later.